Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, it is going to be the perma-critting Valby build. As you can see, every single hit my Valby gets is a crit ranging from 100,000 all the way up to 2 million. So let me show you how I've done this. Let me show you the Valby build and let's get right on into it. Starting off with the Descendant modules, this is what you are going to want to run. The most important part of all of this is supply moisture, because we must be standing on Valby's water in order to make ourselves crit like absolute crazy. Other than that, we're buffing our non-attribute and buffing our fusion damage. We are also buffing our cooldown with nimble fingers and MP conversion. Then we are going with 3 skill crit modules. We're going with skill insight, skill concentration, and then emergency measures. Now you could replace this with frontlines, but then you'd have to get critical hit rate on your reactor, which is something we don't really want. So emergency measures is the correct one here. We're going to use 1 HP module over here, HP amplification, and then we are going to be using MP collector just to make our MP nice and easy. Then last but not least, we are using skill expansion. So this is the build that I've gone with, and this is the one that I think works absolute best in public and just, you know, from a self-sustainability standpoint. So this is the build. Next up, let's talk about the reactor. So for the reactor, you are going to want to put the scouting rifle weapon class on it. That is going to be the key, because we are going to be using the blue beetle to proc our crits. So you want to get scout rifle weapon class on the mounting, you want non-attribute and fusion in the middle, then you are going to want skill cooldown and fusion, preferably both in gold, at the bottom. That's going to give you the max damage, and Valby needs cooldown regardless. Next up, for the external components, you love to see the Slayer set. No, you don't. You absolutely hate to see the Slayer set, but you want MP recovery out of combat, MP recovery in combat, and then MP recovery modifier to best help you gain your MP back. The skill cost on here does not help with the build, but the damage is absolutely undeniably the best. So Slayer set it is yet again. Next up is the Arche tuning tree. So for the tree, I am aware that the skill enhanced power modifier right now is still bugged. So once this is fixed, you will be hitting even more damage. But as you can see from this tree goes right down and around up here, and it goes all the way to skill power. Then you want to go all the way up to get yourself cooldown, head off to the left to get enhanced skill crit damage, and then to get yourself crit rate, and the tree will end right over there. So that's what you are going to need for the Arche tuning tree. Last but not least, let's talk about the blue beetle. So the blue beetle is a weapon that we are going to use, because if you don't know about its unique ability, that's something that you need to pay attention to. So for the blue beetle's unique ability, this is what it is. When using a fusion skill, it grants arcane energy, and when using a singular skill, it grants purification, which we don't really give a crap about the singular. We care about the fusion. In normal English, what this means is when we use the blue beetle with a fusion ability, we get increased crit rate. Now you can see Valby's first ability is a fusion ability, so this is the build that we are primarily the ability we are primarily going to be focusing on. So let me show you what happens in the lab. So now that we are in the lab, once I cast my first ability, you can see arcane energy has activated. I will cast it again one more time, go into Valby's stats just to show you our crit rate is 100%. Our crit damage is 3.5, which is also very nice. Now if we spawn in some enemies, you are gonna just see us absolutely violate their HP and absolutely everything else about the enemy. Valby is insanely strong, and the intro really left you no doubt. You're gonna see doggery levels of numbers, consistency, and just insane numbers with Valby. So the way that we are going to play this build is you must stand in the water whilst casting your next ability. If you do this, you are going to end up with millions of crits all over the screen, and that is essentially the most important part of it. If you do cast your abilities outside the water, you will still see some crits, but there won't be every single hit will not be a crit. As you can see there, we're hitting some normal crits, and so we're hitting some crits and some normals. Once you cast it inside the ability, inside the water again, you get way more crits, and then you do it again, and then it'll eventually just scale up till that crit rate is just there, and all you see are nothing but crits. That is the correct way that we are going to play this, and that is what you are going to see me do in all of the gameplay inside of this video. You must stay in Valby's water. That is the trick. So starting off, let's go on over some Magister Lab gameplay. So what you're going to do is, with it, as simple as it gets with Valby, you're just going to spam your 1. Even if you use your 4th ability within the water, you will be guaranteed crits. However, your first ability does hit harder. As you can see here, I've been hitting anywhere ranging between 200 up to 800k to 1.5 million to everything in between. These crits are very mixed in their numbers, but they are all crits, and as we know, crits can easily fly past the 1 million damage marker. So you know, these crits end up being really good, tons of damage, and it just makes Valby insanely easy, because you know, just mobbing with your first ability with Valby is great, and when you do it and you get permanent crits out of it, insane levels of damage, even a 1.8 million right there, so on and so forth, it just makes it so easy to just use this build for literally everything. So let me show you how I dealt with the bosses, because I'm pretty sure you already know how I'm dealing with the mobs. Then even with the bosses, it's gonna go exactly how you expect it to go. All you do is you just use your 1, you stand in the water, and the boss's HP is gone. Stand somewhere ever so slightly outside the circle. You can see 1.8 million on his weak points in the circle there. Literally just standing here and letting the DOT take over, rip that boss into pieces, and it's over within literal seconds. Now, if you are playing this in public as well, it's just simple. You play the exact same way. You just stand in your own water and you call it a day, because your crits are just going to do everything you need, and it's as simple as it gets with Valby. There's no insane, hyper, crazy trick. It's just the power of the synergy that I showed earlier in this video, and honestly, I think everyone needs to invest in a perma crit Valby, because these numbers are insane, and if you do enjoy Valby for the fun factor, it's gonna become a million times more fun using this build. Next up, I present to you some Sigma Sector runs. Now with Sigma Sector, it's basically just the exact same thing, and Valby does have a specific shine to her in here. So like I said, you just stay inside your water and you spam your water everywhere, and it is as simple as it gets. All these crits are actually genuinely the best thing ever. Now let me give you a little rundown of this. Because of the amount of damage you do with these crits, you will take the kills from Freyna. Because of the amount of sheer range that you can throw these water, and all of the water everywhere will kill everything as soon as it touches the water, you can also outspread Ines with this build as well. This is something that I personally think is just crazy. Now this is another little sector, or little part of the Sigma sector, that I love running. So over here you see we get a ton of enemies, we get a ton of crits. Even though I get knocked back, my crits are still absolutely everywhere, and you can see me ripping, just shredding all of these elites' health down to literally nothing, to the point where I basically almost soloed this phase in a public lobby again, just because the damage is just there, and once everyone catches up, then they start dealing damage. But even still with that, they will not be dealing as fast or as consistent damage as this Valby build will be doing. Now for the boss fight, you'd actually be pretty surprised to know that this does work quite well on the bosses, even in this phase of the Sigma sector. Now of course with Elias, she will float and stuff like that, but that does not stop Valby anyways. If the enemies are airborne, the hitbox is still technically on the floor, just where they are flying is just underneath there. So this works very well up against the bosses too. So let's just quickly wait for this gameplay to get over to the final phase here. And as you can see there, I spawn trap the neckbat, rip his HP off him, and he's done and dusted. Now I'm waiting for my teammates to grab Elias, and as you can see here, even just from him being in the water of my Valby, he takes tons of damage, 1.8 million on his weak points, and we just rip him apart. Now the only thing I would say is that it's best if all players do understand and stand inside the Valby water, just for the absolute fastest clear, but that in this instance did not happen, and at this point I was just so confused, wondering why nobody was attacking Elias first. So I was just waiting for everybody else in my lobby to attack Elias. Once she has gone into an immunity phase, you can also set yourself up here. Now of course she does have 4 blasts. By the time she does her 3rd one, you want to be throwing some water down on the floor towards the center of the square, simple as it gets, just like this. And as you can see, as soon as she spawns in, I'm ripping her HP off her again. Bear in mind, if you were to do this on solo, you would rip her HP off her in an instant. However, this is public game, showing you that one Valby can carry the weight of 4 players in total. You know, this just absolutely kicks. Now, I would normally be like, yeah, this is all the gameplay you need, but just whilst I was having fun and testing this build out, I realized that this build also criminally beats the crap out of Colossi. So yes, we've got another Valby build with permanent crit that can even take Colossi down. So let's get into some Colossi gameplay. And so for the final segment of this video, I'm going to show you the performance up against Colossi. Now, bear in mind, I'm still using the exact same setup. No reactor change, no component change, no weapon change, no nothing change. And you can just see this build rip into every single Colossus. The Dead Bride was trying to run away because she knows she was finished, bro. But these crits, they just rip into everything so well, and it's so funny because this is a Valby build that's specific to mobbing, and seeing it just bully all of the Colossi in hard mode as well, it's just truly something that I find really funny. Now, I did skip over both Walker bosses just because I personally just did not want to fight them at 3 o'clock in the morning whilst getting gameplay for this video. You know, my brain was already running on fumes, and running on Swamp Walker fumes does not sound like a good time. But even with this, you can see that this build just freaking rips apart all the Colossi, and it just goes to show you that even if you are using this build for bossing, which I don't know why you would, but it just works and it's freaking great. But anyways, guys, that's basically been this video on the best Valby build in the game, in my opinion, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing. I make plenty of videos on the first Descendant. If there's any build synergies you would like to see, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to make them happen. But that's been this video. Smash that like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.